Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and wherever you are in the world, I hope you are all safe. So here is another YouTube tutorial for you from Squeaker Chimp, and today I am following on from the polymer clay video that I showed last week, because that has proved to be quite popular with a lot of people, and so I thought what I would do is I'd show you another one. So for this one, I'm feeling like spring is in the air, and I feel like we need to make some flowery, pretty beads. So grab yourself a coffee or a glass of wine or something else, whatever you need, grab it and sit back and enjoy. So what are we going to be making today? Well, we're going to be having a go at making these beads. So these are ones that I made earlier, and I really enjoyed making them. And I thought, you know what, if I enjoyed them, I'm sure you'll enjoy them. So today I'm going to go through the process of how I have made them. I've used Fimo clay, and I have used some gold mica powder, and I've used different shapes to cut them out. And this one I've even attached a bit of a backing on. So without further ado, let's get started. So for this project, along with the polymer clay, you're going to need one of these flower cutters. Now these are sold for cake decorating, and they came in a set of 4. They were easy to get on somewhere like Amazon, and I have used the third smallest one. They came in a pack of 4, so there is a larger one available and 2 smaller ones, but they work really easy. You just pop it on the clay and then you use the plunger to get the clay out, and I'll show you later how that works. And this is an optional item, so I've used these jewellery pins to create a bit of a backing to my beads so that I can attach them to something later. I don't have any copper or gold ones, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the silver ones, and I happen to have a gold pen, and I've just used that in order to colour the silver. So one of my biggest things about crafting is that I want to make sure that it's accessible to everybody and that you don't feel like you've got to go and spend an absolute fortune. You don't. But one of the things I would really recommend is this mica powder. So again, this came in a box, and I think there was somewhere like 28 or 30 in a box, but I'll leave a link in the description. And it is a fine grade mica powder. And I have used this so many times on so many different projects, and I just love it. There are so many colours in it, and they just work. You can use them in resin, you can use them on your paper beads, you can use them on polymer clay. I have used them when I've made doll's house furniture. Another option is this Inka Gold, and it's sold as like a sort of fast drying paint, but I would say it's more like, it feels a bit like shoe polish. It's probably the easiest way I can describe it, and a little bit goes a long way. So you can see just a tiny little bit, rub it in, instantly dry. So that's another option. But again, you could use eyeshadows, you could use anything. The choice is yours. So don't feel you've got to go and spend an absolute fortune. This is an easy, quick, cheap, fun project to do. So for this video, we are going to be using some transparent polymer clay. And I know it doesn't look transparent at the moment, but once it's baked, it has a I'm going to say more translucent than transparent. If it was really thin, you might call it transparent, but it gives it more of a kind of glassy finish. We're also going to be using a couple of other colours of Fimo clay as well as 2 that are not Fimo, and I'm going to leave a link to where I got those before. So we're going to be using this lovely orange colour, which actually came as part of a huge pack of about, I'm going to say about 40 different polymer clays, and a lot cheaper. It was probably only somewhere like 15 to 20 quid for all of them. And it's going to be interesting today to see how it reacts with the polymer clay and if the 2 are interchangeable. So if I can actually get the packet undone, we will be able to use it. So the idea for today is that I don't want to completely obliterate the transparency or translucency of the polymer clay. So we're only going to use a small bit. So just take a small bit off of the colour, and we probably won't even use all of that. Wrap it back up again. Polymer clay doesn't really dry out in the way that traditional clay might, but you do still need to wrap it up. So what you're going to do is you're going to condition each one of these colours, and I find it easiest just to sort of squash it between my fingers. And can you see how it's breaking here? And that's a good indication that the clay is not ready yet. So keep squishing it, keep moulding it between your fingers, warming it up, getting all of those polymers working and in action and warmed up. And what you'll find is because it's such a small little piece, really quickly they do warm up, and you can see that I'm just rolling it, make it into a sausage, squashing it back together, making it into a sausage again, and I'm just using my hands. And now when I twist it, you can see that it doesn't break. So when you have small bits of polymer clay, it is quite easy to condition them. So that's our first piece. I'm also going to be using this Fimo clay, which is a glitter effect Fimo clay. And what you'll think you'll find quite interesting is you'll notice the difference in the conditionability, if that is such a word, of these two clays. And what you'll find is that real Fimo clay is really crumbly when you first start it. And that is something that quite often puts people off using Fimo, is that it is quite difficult to condition, but it will get there, promise you. You're going to see me doing it, and it's easier to take small bits, but you can see straight away how much more crumblier this one is. And you can see I'm kind of getting bits on my fingers. There's going to be bits on the table. But again, squashing it with my fingers, and I will again do the whole rolling it in my hands to really warm it up. It helps if you have got warm hands. Now, where you live in the world is also going to have a bit of an effect on it, because obviously if you live in a warm country, your clay is going to naturally be warmer to start with. If you live in a colder country, then obviously it's going to be a bit colder. So where you live and the humidity and all things like that are going to have a bit of a play on it. So once we've got our three colours and our transparent clay sorted and all conditioned, we are now in stage where we can start to blend them together. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to just move them out the way, and with the transparent clay I'm going to slice it into 3 equal parts so that we can make 3 lots of beads that are blended with the colours that we have chosen. So pop to a side, and you can see that this particular bead I made just with the translucent clay, so it will give you a bit of an idea on how translucent they are. So pop into a side, we're going to start with the orange one. Now, what you can't do with colour when you're adding it is take it away, and so it's always good to err on the side of caution. So again, I'm just going to divide this up, and I'm going to add a small amount, and if I decide that I want to add some more, I can do, but what I can't do is take away. So I'm going to add this 1/4 of what I originally made, and I'm just going to start and blend it. And this is where I'm actually blending 2 different varieties of polymer clay. So I am hoping that they aren't going to react funny with each other. And I'm just going to roll them. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit just so that you can see me rolling the clay. So bear with me whilst I get to the right place. There we go. So I'm going to roll the clay between my hands. Again, really good place because you can get some friction, you can get some warmth going, and bend, roll it again together, and then blending. And you're just going to keep this process going of rolling and squashing together and rolling again. And this is a really good way to blend your clay. Now, what I've noticed here is that the end is not getting blended as well, so I'm going to move the two ends in this time, and I'm just going to keep rolling, rolling the ends in, squashing them together. And I kind of felt like this is a rather appropriate one for today because it kind of looks like the inside of a Cadbury's cream egg at this precise moment. But you're going to still keep squashing it together. Now, you might decide that this is as far as you want to take it. You might decide that you actually quite like the stark contrast, but it's entirely up to you. If you happen to notice whilst you're rolling that you get a little inclusion of something, just take your blade or your nail or something and just pick it off. It's really easy. Polymer clay is quite forgiving in that sort of respect. So just keep blending it until you are happy with the blend that you have got. It's a good way to recondition your clay as well. So I'm just going to roll it up and give it one more roll. Squash it all together. And I've made a ball, and what you can see is I've got a bit of a marbling effect going on, and I quite like that. So if I'm just going to squash it down flat just to see what it will actually look like if I put this through my pasta machine. And I quite like the effect that we have got here. So I am probably going to leave that one as it is. So that's one of them done. So what we need to do now is we need to repeat the same process with all of the other colours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed that process up, because once you've seen it once, I think you've pretty much got you've got the idea. So here we go. Speed it up. Okay, so once you have wound them, rolled them between your hands so long, you can see that what I'm doing here is I'm actually giving it a twist. I'm twisting those colours together, which is going to just create a slightly different look. You're going to have, rather than long lines in it, you're going to have more of a twist to it. So you can just keep twisting it. So just experiment, have a play around and see how you get on. So what I've done with all of those last bits is I have just rolled them all together and squished them just to make a new blend, because I don't want to waste those bits of colour that I had. With all four colours blended, we can now start and have some fun. So you're going to take your cutter and you're going to select the area that you want to cut on your polymer clay. And now you're going to really carefully, because you don't want that polymer clay to rip, you're going to carefully use that plunger to push your little flower out, and then if you want to, you can shape it whilst it's on the plunger, and then you're going to just catch it in your hand, and there we go, a beautiful little multicoloured flower. So with your first bead made, you're going to take one of these jewellery pins. You could use a knitting needle, a cocktail stick or something like that. You're going to just use it to make a hole in the middle. So you could use any kind of piece of metal, anything that you've got to hand, like a needle or a pin, just to make a hole in the middle, just like so. And now for my favourite part. You're going to take some gold mica powder. Now you can choose any colour you like. On my previous beads I used a turquoise one, but on this one I'm going to use a gold mica powder. And you don't need much. Again, start small and you can build up, but it's more difficult to take away. So with a fine paintbrush, I've got some mica powder and I'm going to add some to the centre of my flower to add some depth to it, to add some colour and some depth to it. And you can really start to see how those flowers start to come alive, and they start to look much better than just some polymer clay. I'm just going to get a little bit more powder, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add it to the edges as well, just to again add some more details, some more depth and some more luster to the edges of my flowers. Really easy to do. You can always add more if you feel like you need to, but that is how we're going to add our gold luster to it. And once it's baked, it doesn't come off. It will stay on there, so you can choose if you want to glaze them or not at the end of it, or you can just leave them unglazed. The choice is yours, but I'm just going to add a little bit more of the mica powder to the back of the flower. But there we go, first one done. So I will crack on and do all the other ones, and I will be back when I'm done. So here we go. All of the beads are now done, and they are ready to go and bake in the oven. So I've popped them onto a metal tray, and I use this just for baking my polymer beads. So make sure you're using something that you keep separate. And this is them when they come out, so they do look a little bit different. The yellow is much richer, the turquoise is more transparent, but yeah, this is what they look like. So here we go. So you can see the orangey coloured ones right at the very top that I'm pointing to at the moment. They've come out a really lovely rich colour, and these are the ones where I have mixed whatever I had left. I mixed them, and then the ones at the bottom were again just the ones that I had left. So just to remind you, these are the ones that I made with the orange, and I like the look of them. I think they look really they almost look like glass. I think the gold luster just adds quite a bit to them. They're not quite as transparent or translucent as I was hoping they would be, but maybe I added too much orange. I don't know, maybe they're not thin enough. But I like the turquoise ones. I think they have definitely got a look of very similar to a sort of a check bead, a glass check bead, which I absolutely love, but they are pricey. So I love these ones. I like the luster on them. So they have come out really well. Just a real subtle colour of the turquoise. And then these ones are the ones which was a mixture of all of the solid colours that I had left. The glitter, the Fimo glitter one, and then those other two colours. And again, they kind of remind me a bit of pansies, where pansies have different colours on their petals. And then these ones are where, after I'd made all of the other beads, I had bits left over, and I just smushed the clay together, put it through the paper bead roller, and this is what I came out with. So I've made those beads, which again, you can see there's quite a difference between colours. You see some bits are transparent, you can see the lines going in them, and I love that. I think it's a really interesting look. I think it adds a lot of colour, and you can really see the difference between the sort of transparent colours of them, which is really good. And then the last set, the set right over on the left hand side, is where I literally put that lot of rolling back through the machine, and then I just kept using it until I had absolutely no more left. So here we go. Here is the final look at everything that we have made today. So I have got loads and loads of beads out of not very much Fimo clay. So you really can create yourself quite a lot of beads from not a lot. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and if so, please leave a comment in the box below. I absolutely love reading your comments. They mean so much to me, and they really help to grow my channel. So all that's left to say is thank you so much for watching, and if you would like to subscribe and like the video, again, that would mean a lot to me. And I will see you again for another tutorial. I have got leaves planned for my next one, polymer clay leaves to go with these flowers. So stay tuned, and I will see you next time.